Hello everyone, welcome back to the Gran Turismo Weekly Race Guide. It's week 5 of 2021, and as you can see in the background, we are at Miyabi in some Mazdas. Miyabi Mazdas? Mazda Miyabi? I don't know. Let's have a look at the race details first of all then. We are looking at 8 laps here, so quite a decent length race to be honest with you. A grid start, so it's close action of course. And we're on sports medium tyres, so quite soft tyres again. Gran Turismo keeping with that theme, and as you can see, we're in the Mazda touring cars, so it's very close racing this. Now there are going to be a few dive bombs here and there, however, I actually quite like this race. It does allow for some nice clean racing, because there's only one braking zone. The rest is all about side-by-side racing, very close action. Let's jump to that race then. I'll talk you through the race and the lap guide with one braking zone. Here we are then at the start, and pop up headlights! Pop all those headlights up, go on, there we go, everybody's popping them up, flashing away. That's a bit illegal in some countries. Anyway, let's get on with the race then. Stand inside, you don't need traction control here, you literally can just put your foot to the floor and off you go. Very easy to do. As we have the countdown, there we go, and let's see what happens. And you can see Carl starting to avoid somebody up ahead, and it looks like Roadrunner Dan had a bit of a bad start there. Not sure what happened there, maybe controller issues, I'm not too sure. We advance our position all the same. Quinton down our inside. Look, Quinton's back! Quinton is back! So we're going to try and go down the inside of the finish driver, who was lagging a little bit there. And there's also Skull Crusher lagging up ahead. Now Skull Crusher said there was a storm happening at the time, which is the reason why you will see a little bit of lag here, there and everywhere. We're all golden now, as through here you can see. Full flat out, full acceleration here. And this is obviously where a lot of the dive bombs can happen. You can see very close action. I did notice the Spaniard kept turning in quite a lot. Yeah, it's a bit awkward sometimes if you're not fully sure where somebody is. As you see Cuba and Quinta going side by side. I saw this happening, I thought, let's try and get down the inside quickly. And we managed to do that. Down the inside of Cuba there. That's going to be up us into P9. And let's see what we can do heading towards its right-hander here. So I wasn't alongside Quinton there, so quite exactly just dive down the inside. And nowhere really to dive here anyway. So I normally stay in 4th gear for this one. You can see you can understeer quite quickly as you see Quinton do that and lose a lot of speed in the meantime here. So I'm trying not to overtake Quinton because I want to stay with the pack ahead. That's kind of crucial at this race, staying with the pack ahead. Once you lose that pack, very hard to get back in those 8 laps. In towards the braking zone we go. Drop to 2nd gear here. 2nd, 3rd gear, very difficult choice of gear. I personally think it is a 2nd gear corner into 3rd. Some people may feel that the change of gear isn't necessary, but hey, we're racing. This is the whole point of the guide. I give you the guidance or advice that I can give you. 2nd or 3rd gear for that corner. Happy days. But we've got a track guide coming up, don't you worry. As we're now looking to try and overtake Skull Crusher. But I make the wrong decision here. An outside line on this corner does not work. So do not do it, folks. Do not do it. As we're going to advance a little bit further on now. Try and catch up with this race a little bit here. So you can see some action up ahead there. Quinton going around the outside of the Spaniard. I made a mistake here. Dan was on my outside. Dan backed out of it. So fair play to Dan. But I went too aggressive. I whacked on my hazards there just to apologise because I didn't mean to run him off. But he didn't actually. He sort of realised what was happening anyway. And he had a penalty as well. So, you know, fair play to Dan. But yeah, my mistake. Now we're going to show you how to do it correctly. So on the inside of Skull Crusher here. And we're going to head towards that same corner. Obviously, if Skull Crusher was me, he's about to run me off. But he doesn't do that. He lets off a little bit here, gives me enough room, and I actually go through there. I make the move. So that is how you do it correctly, not the way I did it on the previous lap. We advance further on, though, and we're going to look for a move on the Spaniard. So we just get our nose alongside here. Just turns in a little bit. That causes some action there with some oversteer. And then I just think, well, you turn in on me a little bit there, so I carry on. What are your thoughts? Am I in the wrong? Is the Spaniard in the wrong? Just a racing incident? Let me know in chat or in the comments, of course, if you're not watching the premiere. As through the right hander we go, the Spaniard does keep that position for now. We've got a lot of pressure in the back of us as well from the finish driver. If you look down on that radar, I'm about to get mugged by one on the inside and one on the outside there as well. Skull Crusher down the inside and Roadrunner down around the outside there. That poor finish driver there, Johnny boy. Now, let's look at this battle here with the Spaniard. We just get that run, similar run we did earlier on, trying to maintain that speed down the inside of the Spaniard as we head towards the right-hander then. And you can see how close it is, but you can also see in the distance, we've lost that pack. We really have lost the pack. So this is all we're fighting for now, P7 rather than up ahead. And as I say, it's very hard to catch that gap up in terms of, you know, getting in the fight for the higher position. So if you are starting from the back, just be careful of that. Go on the lap guide then, so you can see here I take a much wider line initially. If you can just clip the curb there, that's going to be the perfect line. I had to lift a little bit during the corner, but only a tiny bit, and accelerate through there. I didn't go below 92 miles an hour. Just keep that in mind. Obviously, you've got to be careful of understeer there, of course, but it's all about trying to clip that curb as late as possible. Pulls you around a little bit. This is all flat, nice and easy. Keep your wheels straight as possible. But we head to the one braking zone here, and what you want to look for is the start of this curb. That's what I'm using as a braking marker. You're about to see me jump on the anchors here, and I dropped to second gear, as I was saying earlier on. Second, third gear, I'm a bit undecided. Second gear just allows you to get around a little bit easier. Third gear, you're going to bog down a tiny bit, but then you might be able to maintain that a little bit more speed. This is all flat, nice and easy. So, I actually quite like this race. You know, if you're worried about DR and SR and all that, maybe don't do it, but I actually think this race is kind of fun. So shout out to PD for this one. But that's going to be it for race A. Next up, we go to another small track for race B. Yes, it's Tsukuba in Japan, and yes, you are not seeing things. It's Group 4, and there's not very many FS in the race. But let's have a look at the race details first of all. We're racing 8 laps here at Tsukuba, so, you know, quite a few laps around the circuit. A rolling start this time rather than a grid start, and racing medium tyres, keeping with that softer compound of tyre, which I am really happy to see actually. You know, a lot of you guys wanted the softer compounds. They seem to have worked. It seems to be happening. So fair play to PD for that one. Now in terms of this race, yes, there is one Audi that you can see, and that is really it. So the FF cars aren't dominant here. So there's going to be even more happy people, I guess, because the Subaru seems to be up there, as does the Mitsubishi Lancer. So we have this old Subaru Mitsubishi rivalry. Let's jump to the race and I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, the race, and also a lap guide. Here we are then at the start. Look, Subaru. None of them doing Audi. I'm not doing that this time. There's only one in the actual field there. So you can see Subarus mainly. A few Mitsubishis in there. We have an Alpha, just out of nowhere. That's a fair play to Lazarus for the Alpha. But here we are with the race. We're going to kick off here. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier, brake balances all in the description. I know people complain about that. They're all in the description. Just check that out. It's all there. You can check them out, and happy days, we can continue with the racing. So, this is kind of an interesting race, I would say, because it's a little bit hard to overtake. However, we're going to go straight to a track guide first of all, because it's a rolling start, and we always do this on race B. Turn 1 then, the usual brake marker here, it is the 50-meter board. Just look out for that. You're braking just before this in reality, so, you know, that I say, these markers, they're references, you know, use them as a guide. We accidentally brake a little bit after there. You can see we just missed the apex a little bit, bring it back very nicely. You sort of want to point and squirt the car at that point, try and get round, accelerate out. Lots of grip in the Subaru. Headed to turn 2 then, I've always talked about this, where the curb comes in the most in terms onto the track. That is your brake marker, and you sort of want to straight line the braking, heading straight towards the apex here, and then you sort of want to triangle off the corner as best as you can. Notice I stay really tight there, no V-shaped in terms of going really wide and coming back. Stay tight, and we continue through there. Slight lift for that corner, and accelerate through the corner. Heading towards the last corner then, and once again you're just looking for where that greenish curb protrudes most into the circuit there, comes most into the circuit, and at that point again you want to brake, and you want to keep it tight as well. If you're going to go for an overtake though, the V shape does work here, so do you know, keep that in mind if you're trying to go for a run on a car. We'll have a look at that later though, because I will demonstrate that for you. So there's the Audi TT I was talking about, with Wiz on the back. So shout out to you, Yal Crab, and also Wiz from our community, of course. As we head towards this last corner though, you're looking for that dead grass on that left hand side. As that starts, you can, just after it to be fair actually, because we've got a little bit more grip in these tyres, and you can just trail brake in, and I would keep it in 4th gear, don't drop to 3rd here. The car will eventually get round, you can accelerate through the corner. FS seem to struggle in the corners now. We've had a balance of performance change, you know, recently, today, so they're not the car of choice. I think they'll still be very good, the FF cars personally. It's just Tsukuba, it definitely isn't an FF track anyway, even more so now with the new BOP. So we're looking to try and go around the outside of the FF here. Very dangerous move to do. FS understeer, of course. Gave me plenty of room there, did Yal Crab, so shout out to you, my friend. And through we go, and we get that position. Quinton trying to follow suit here. Spaniard up ahead in the Evo. Had a bit of an issue there through the corner, and we've got another Spaniard with a penalty there. In towards the braking zone, we're on the inside. Again, plenty of room. Do you know, awesome racing today, absolutely awesome. I don't think you'll all get this in all your lobbies. This is obviously top split. And yeah, we managed to get that done, so we overtake another person there. Quinton very close behind, trying to follow through here as we enter this corner here. Quinton gives me a little tap there, nothing major. We just have to stop the car a little bit longer, and we have a slower apex speed, but I say it's all golden. I had no issues there. Quinton apologised. I didn't even realise why he apologised until I watched this back. So, you know, fair dues. Anyway, we outbrake ourselves a little bit into turn 1 here. Quinton trying to go look down the inside here. Doesn't quite work out. I'd say on that first turn, you can really just absolutely plant your foot, and the car genuinely will stick. There's going to be no oversteer there, which is nice because, you know, when you look at driver skill levels, the lower your rating, potentially you struggle more with oversteer. Don't have that problem here. Really good for your racing. We advanced a bit further on. Quinton had a penalty, so Quinton took that penalty, which is why Quinton's 1.5 seconds behind me now. But Skull Crusher goes for a move on the Croatian in front. I think that's a Croatian flag anyway. Apologies if it's not. And in towards the braking zone we go. Hey, look, I've got fastest lap. How about that, folks? So we're going to look down the inside. Doesn't quite work there. Joke keeps that position from Skull Crusher here. Lots of nice little battles going on. But, you know, Tsukuba, a very hard circuit to overtake on. Skull Crusher to the right here. So this is where I'm talking about the triangle sort of thing. Keeping it outside, and I'm really trying to get the car pointed back. That didn't work out that well that time, but you can sort of see the overrun that you get. So if you can get it pointed and belted out as fast as you can gain an advantage here. I'm looking down the inside. Not going to work here. Skull Crusher had the slipstream there, so keeps that position for now. But we're looking to try and make some moves here. Try and get up to P9 at least. And then we can think about moving up further in the grid soon. So in towards the braking zone we go. You see Skull Crusher's little lag there while this storm's happening. A little bit scary, obviously, racing, because you don't want to give Skull Crusher a penalty or wipe him out. So I've been a bit cautious here as well. As you can see, we've lost a second now to the drivers behind in this battle, as JM Racing has now caught up. And Quinton's right behind JM Racing here. There's no doubt about that. It's Quinton, of course. As you see, the Croatian just made a mistake there, turned in a bit too soon. Skull Crusher goes around the outside. I follow suit here as the Spaniard behind me. In towards the braking zone we go. And I would argue, you know, there's some brilliant racing. You know, I'm having a good fun time here, so it's kind of nice. Nice there's no FFs for a change as well, so yeah, all golden here. Quinton looking to overtake as well, so he does indeed. We advance a bit later on in the race now. Quinton right behind me once again. And me still looking to try and get past Skull Crusher here. As through there we go. So I go defensive here quite early, make my intentions very clear. Now, Quinton demonstrates something very nice here. With a grippier tyre, and the same thing that I tried with the TT earlier on, of course, you can manage to go around the outside a little bit easier and maintain that speed. So Quinton does that very nicely here. So I'm thinking, oh, I'll try that into here then. Doesn't quite work out. Go a little bit too deep this time to do that. So Quinton gets that position. Well played to Quinton there. We just have to pull him behind now, and we're both looking. Skull Crusher's got a very scary mirror here, hasn't he? Let's be honest with you. Skull Crusher looks behind him. He sees Quinton and me. I'd be a little bit scared, but Quinton down the inside there, good little move. This is where that triangle I'm talking about. But Skull Crusher obviously compromised with the Quinton move there. Quinton gives me some slipstream. Thank you, Quinton. I love you. And yes, we're looking to try and get into P10 here. In towards the right-hander we go. You've got to be very tight here. I was scared for Skull Crusher's lag as well, so I'm trying to keep it exceptionally tight as best as I can, because you can see Skull Crusher's car moving there. We don't quite get it done here as we then head towards turn 1. So Skull Crusher goes a little bit deep here, I think. So we managed to get on the inside once again. And round we go, some side-by-side action. And Skull Crusher just ran a little bit wide on exit as well. So we gain that position up into P10. We are catching P8, but I'm not sure we can get that here. Got half a lap to go. But let's see if Skull Crusher can get back past me. You know, a bit of slipstream coming up with that back straight. Let's see. Me and Quinton were having a right ding-dong in the warm-up. We just decided to start punting each other out of nowhere. It's kind of hilarious, to be honest. Anybody not knowing that me and Quinton know each other will be like, oh my word, these are the dirtiest drivers in history. But we're not. Skull Crusher down the inside then. Tried to have a look. Doesn't quite work out there. Has to pull him behind. That compromises the straight here a little bit for Skull Crusher. So we're going to chuck it in to the right-hander now. Just try and trail brake as best as we can. Balance that throttle. Now we know we're round. We can accelerate through the corner and across the line. So a race B, I'll say it can be good. You know, lower lobbies may struggle. You see Subaru reigns supreme here. But another thumbs up from me, I think. That's an alright race. So let's head to race C then, which is an interesting one, as we are at Bathurst. Now, it's interesting because of what the race is all about. Let's have a look at the race details then, first of all. We're racing 9 laps here at Bathurst. It's a rolling start. But critically, we're on racing soft and medium tyres. Both are required. I mean, strategy as well as some good racing. Fuel usage times 2, tyre wear time 7. And as you can see, we're in Group 3 cars. Now, with the recent bot change, everyone's sort of trying to find their feet a little bit. Which car's best, which car isn't? What should I pick? What should I not pick? All that good stuff. The majority of the cars in the top 10 was the Corvette at the time, which is the car I chose. This race had everything in it. It has dodgy penalties. It has weird pit lanes. It has wacky strategies. It's got funny moments. Let's jump to it now. Let's have some fun. Now, as you can see with this grid, it looks a bit varied. Now, Aston Martin is up there, even though the Aston Martin wasn't touched. We've got a mixture of all sorts of cars, mainly power cars. You've got Kevin there in the Subaru, which is interesting. And as I'm literally recording this part of the commentary, Giuseppe's just gone fastest in the Renault. So I'm not sure why handling cars are suddenly up there on a power circuit, but it is what it is. Maybe pick what you like, and off we go. So you can see I'm on racing medium tyres here. Now, there's a choice of a 1-stop or a 2-stop here, which is very nice. And also, with the 2-stop, it allows a bit more freedom in terms of your pit strategy. I'm pretty sure a funky 1-stop is possible as well. You all know I love a funky 1-stop. What is one of them, you ask? Well, a funky 1-stop... Actually, let's go to the track guide first of all. Look for the photographer on the right-hand side. It doesn't look very obvious on this picture. But it's there, trust me. It's much easier to see as you're driving. Definitely stands out. That's what I use. I'm braking just before that, by the way, because... at the last corner, there's so much more grip. You're actually approaching that corner much faster than normal. Marcus is going to move over to the right here. I'm not sure why. Just decides to let me go here. Indicates that he's going to the right. Shout out to you, my friend. Thank you. I'm always up for a good race, though. You don't have to let me go. Heading towards this right turn. Obviously, depending on the compounder tyre, depends where you brake. And obviously, we've got cold tyres at the moment, so I'm going to brake towards the start of this. But soft tyres warmed up. You can brake at the end of that tarmac joining the circuit. It's really, really, really late braking in this Corvette, which is very nice. I'm also short shifting it as well. Now, heading up here, this is an interesting one. Obviously, you want to lift a little bit here, and then you basically want to straight line the braking. I've paused it here. I always pause it here. You want to straight line the braking as best as you can, so you're sort of half braking initially until you know you can get the car stopped. At this point, you want to drop to second gear, really get it tucked in on the inside, and then accelerate through the corner. Now, we're going to stop it. It's one of my favourite places on this circuit, right here, because that tree on the right-hand side is an awesome tree. And let me tell you why. That is the perfect marker for your turn-in point for this right-hander, which is very easy to get wrong and understeer into the barrier. If you use that, you should be able to get round pretty no problem, to be honest. This is all about them balancing the throttle. I'm stuck behind the Beetle at the moment, so I can't really do much here as I then approach this part of the circuit, which again, that curb there, if you lift off just before it, it balances the weight of the car, keeps the nose of the car down, and that means you can make this corner a lot better. If you're accelerating over this, the front end will lift and you're going to have problems. Anyway, we're going to head now to this Audi R8 sign, which is your next sort of marker. You can see I've just started braking, and what I'm actually trying to do is get the car straight as possible, right? Because you can only brake fully in a straight line. So as you see here, I'm going to pause it here. Notice how I'm straight lining the braking, so I'm aiming straight for the apex of this next little bit of a corner. Full on braking, and what I'll do is I'll release the brake and then straight line the braking again, release the brake, straight line braking again, release the brake, round I go. And then at this point, on the right side, you've got this curve that you follow around. You want to really follow that round. And just before it ends, that's at the point where you then dab the brake and sort of chuck it in to the left here and try and get round as best as you can. Now, you've done it well. You get a penalty if you do it too well, so just be careful of that. Similar sort of thing here as we're going downhill. You can see I've lifted off. I'm not really doing much with the braking and accelerating. I'm just trying to let the car roll a little bit, settle the car for then the straight line braking at the very end of this. There we go, full on straight line braking now. And I'm sort of half pointed towards the first part of the corner here. And what I'm doing there is it means I'm going to make this corner, as we'll see now. So I'm braking, I release the braking. I'm staying tight. I can accelerate through the corner. Very, very tricky braking all the way down the hill. And it's all about straight lining the braking where you can. 100%, remember your tyres can only do 100% of something. Steering or braking. So if you do 70% steering, you can do 30% braking. That's the best way to look at it. Obviously it's not quite that simple, more complex things, but just think about it in that manner. Heading towards the left then, we're looking for the sign event, the V in that sign event, just after the 150 metre board. I always use that V. Very nice, very easy, or significant as I used to call it. As in we go. And you're probably going, Tidge, you said about wacky strategies as we see Skull Crusher go off there. So I was always going to do 2-stop here just to try it out. So I'm going to head into the pits. Now the tree is your brake marker for the last corner, okay? It's not your brake marker for this. If you want to brake at the very last possible moment, for the pit lane, you want to use the 100 meter that I've just highlighted there. The 100 meter, but well, actually just before it, if I'm really honest, just to be safe. Because if you get the entry into the pit wrong, it's hilarious. Now you are actually, I think Quinton actually, does Quinton carry on? No, I thought Quinton carried on there, but no, he comes in the pits. So into the pits we go, and I'm going to put some soft tyres on now. Tidge, you said you could do a funky one-stop. You can do a funky one-stop. So let me talk about strategy then in this race. Now, oh, the pit lane, by the way, you lose about 3 seconds in the pits, which is why a funky one-stop can work. And a two-stop. So I reckon you could pit around lap 3 if you're really good with the tyres on the mediums and go on the softs. Even lap 4. Now I'm going to pit at the end of lap 4 and continue on with the softs. But obviously you're mixing and matching depending on the tyres. So the reason I pit at the end of lap 4, by the way, in terms of doing only 3 laps on the softs, is because I want to avoid traffic. As you can see, we've caught up to the traffic here. We overtake the Beetle. Skull Crusher dives into the pits there on that lap 3, so we gain a couple more positions. I'll say 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds is the pit loss. I really should have paid attention to that first, the first times. I didn't, but it's 3.5 seconds there or thereabouts by the end of the straight. So you do not lose much at all going in the pits as we gain another position from a Brit just coming out there, Kendalini there, and we're going to continue on down the back straight then. So let's see what happens. You see some fighting going on up ahead there. Cuba and I didn't see who that was. Oh, it's Chris. Cuba on the outside there. Very typical thing to happen on that corner. If you're on the outside, just, you know, you're offline. You end up in the barrier essentially. So we've caught up to Cuba very, very quickly here. And this is the problem with Bathurst. I mentioned it just before. Being stuck in traffic. Now, this is where you're going to lose most of your time if you're trying to come through the pack, or if you're on a different strategy of any kind. He's losing time, which is why the one-stop is viable. And it's why you might want to consider a funky one-stop. Let's just say you're on the medium tyres, and you're on lap 3, and you're stuck behind somebody who you potentially can overtake. So you jump in, if there's a gap of course, because you're then going to have to look at the circuit. You jump in the pits, go on the soft tyres. Yes, your tyres going to be more worn at the end. However, you could do the undercut and overtake 2 or 3 cars. So you can see at the moment I'm behind Cuba, and we've got Chris up ahead. So at this moment in time, in my head, I had decided I was coming into the pits this lap. So I'd pitted lap 1. I'm now going to be pitting on lap 4, so I've only done 3 laps on this tyre, which means the rest, you know, the second stint of softs is going to be for quite a while here. Let's be real. And you see the tyre wear down in the bottom left, so you can do these funky one-stops. They're definitely there and available to you. As you can see, a lot of people on softs coming in on the end of lap 4. As you see a Spaniard off, very far off there. So I'd already decided here I was coming in the pits. I wanted to try and see if I could undercut Chris here. Oh, and you notice I broke just before the 100 metre board there and only just made it in. So do be careful of that. So we leave the pits now. It's 14.2 when we came in. 17.2, 17.3, 17.4. So it's not even 3.5 seconds. And look, up the hill and it's already 17.2. And we're right behind Quinton here. So the Beetle's going to go into the barrier here. And Quinton down the inside. Beetle, well, did he turn in? I'm not too sure. But he just clips the grass there. Puts me into the barrier. I was not happy with that. But I know what happened. So it's just like, frustrating. Frustrating, it really was. But we continue on. And we're right behind the Beetle now. I was flashing as well. I was like, you bugger. Anyway, use that tree on the right hand side. I mentioned it earlier. That's your brake marker. It's a perfect brake marker, that tree. Best brake marker at Bathurst. We've got the best turn-in marker and the best brake marker. It's great. And look, that photographer, much easier to see there. You can see as we brake. And through the left we go. And we're making up a few positions now. So you can see there on the left hand side, Chris is now 2 seconds behind me. So that undercut actually worked. Irrespective of that accident, it still worked. So we have managed to gain some time here. Quinton obviously came in on the same lap as me the first time, but stayed out for the rest of it, showing you this really funky one-stop as the Brit there has gone off there, Kendalini. So I'd say that's a very common corner to make a mistake, very easy to get it wrong. As is this corner as well, I nearly got it wrong a couple of times. I won't show you all of them. Up ahead, we've got another member of the RR team. They're just going to lose the rear of the Supra, and unfortunately Quinton ends up in the barrier. That's going to slow us down that little bit more here. So now we're looking to see if we can get by there. I'm not sure where. Did Quinton whack on the hazards or was that his brake? I'm not actually too sure there. Anyway, we're heading over here. Look at this, lift off. Make sure the front doesn't go flying. Lovely little line through there. I'm going to head down the hill now, and you can see we're just, I mean, I'd be scared if I was a Spaniard. You got me and Quinton once again in someone's rear view mirrors. Let's see what happens here. Oh, the Supra loses it, and unfortunately, and you know what happens.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yes, 3-second penalty for what exactly? Thank you, game. I'm glad to see you're working as ever with the penalty system. Anyway, we're going to take that 3-second penalty. Fortunately, it was in a good place. You know, we didn't apply it on the Conrod straight, applied it on this one instead. And fortunately, we're just going to keep this position. But we're going to have a fight with Kevin instead, who is in the Subaru WRX. Not a car I would particularly put up there in my list of choices for Bathurst. It's definitely a slow car in terms of straight line speed. However, it's very good at handling. Now, we advanced a bit further on. Got max power, came out on this lap, so I knew he was on mediums straight off the bat. Very easy to spot that one. So, yeah, I knew I was going to catch Max here at this point. So I was just thinking, okay, yeah, this is good. It's good. Got a bit of slipstream. Should be able to take advantage of this where I can. So heading down the hill here. Again, doing that straight line braking that I talked about earlier on. Make sure you do that as well. Just before the end of the curve, truck it left, nice and easy. And through the right we go. Be careful about clipping the barrier on the left. I did that once in this race. And then into the braking zone we go. Max Power went for the move down the inside. Let me explain this a little bit. He had done this in an earlier race. You know, Max Power is not a dirty driver. He went for a very risky move. It did not pay off. Unfortunately took out a competitor there. Accidentally, of course. And yeah, we gained 2 positions from it. So thank you, Max. But yeah, unlucky with that one. And the Subaru going to go for the move down the inside. Now, I was like, I was going to let you go anyway because there's another straight coming up. So I sort of stayed to the left at that point. And I was always going to stay behind. And you're going to see that here as well. Just trying to race smart. It's always wise to race smart at Bathurst because there are 2 very long straights. And yeah, if you get overtaken on one, you can always take it back on the second, especially when it's a Subaru because they drive very slowly. Anyway, heading towards turn 1, we look for that magical photographer on the right side. We brake just before it here, get very close. Round we go, and you're going to see the speed difference now between a Corvette and a Subaru. So here we go, short shift in the Corvette, of course, and look at that speed gain suddenly. Look at the speed gain. So Kevin goes defensive. We're going to go down the left-hand side here. And we're going to get that easily before the right-hander here. Brake right at the end of that tarmac part here. And we get it stopped. So through we go. Now Kevin gets a little bit of a cutback going on here. Very dangerous move this. And he's going to try and go for the move here, which is so dangerous. I mean, I saw it coming, so I broke. And I stayed to the inside. And he tried to go around the outside. It didn't quite work. Went into the barrier there. I think he might have even just like bounced off me a little bit maybe. But, you know, I'm there. You know, I can't give you more space than what I currently did there. So a bit unfortunate for you there, Kevin. I mean, personally, if I was Kevin, I would have waited until the back straight. But then, are you going to overtake the Corvette on the back straight? It's a hard one, isn't it? Hard one to decide. What would you have done, chat? What would you have done? Let me know in the chat. Or comments, of course, if you're not watching the premiere. Heading down the hill then. And you can see Quinton up ahead. So, fortunately, we're catching up to Quinton. Obviously, on very worn tyres. As you're about to see, ends up in the barrier. Goodbye, Quinton. Nice to see you pleb it for a change rather than me plebbing it. Obviously, we know Quinton. Quinton might even be watching. But yes. An interesting race this one. So we're going to come P7 in the end, which is not too bad with the penalty and all that good stuff. I quite like this race as well. Lots of different strategies in there for you strategists who like that kind of thing in these races. Lots you can do there. Mixture of funky 1 stops, funky 2 stops, normal 2 stops, normal 1 stops. It's all there for you, and you can have some good side-by-side racing. It's just the mountain that can be a bit difficult. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. I do hope you enjoyed this video. We are getting very close to 20,000 subscribers. I know I keep saying it. Do subscribe if you want to watch more and help towards that 20,000 mark. Do like it if you did like it. Ollie's stream is there if you want to watch Ollie do tackle these daily races later on. That's going to be it for me now, folks. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in another video or live stream very soon.